Making soap at home is incredibly easy when you use a melt and pour soap base. It's one of my favorite things to do. It's a lot of fun and can be pretty relaxing too. It's also a budget-friendly craft or hobby that you can do, and it's great to give away as a gift. It doesn't require you to have a lot of unusual tools or ingredients, just a couple simple things, and you can make soap at home. And making soap at home, you can decide what types of ingredients you want to put into it. So knowing what's going into your soap, you can feel more comfortable knowing that, hey, I know that oatmeal is going onto my skin and that oatmeal is good for my skin. So some of the favorite things that I like to add into my soap are usually things that I actually grow around here in my garden. That being herbs, something like lavender, chamomile, peppermint, and calendula. Calendula is my absolutely favorite herb to use in all sorts of things, not just soap. If you jump onto the blog, you'll notice that a whole bunch of my skincare recipes include calendula because why not? It's super good for your skin. Another thing that I like to add into my homemade soap recipes are things like dried food, and which might sound kind of unusual, but it's not chunks of like nuts or fruits or anything, but I'm talking about dehydrated food that either you buy or grow yourself and include it into your soap as a powder. Things like tomatoes, spinach, and beets. Hello, and welcome to Homemade Homestead. I'm Alicia, and today I'm doing a collaboration video with several other channels here on YouTube, all about how to dehydrate for Christmas. We're sharing ideas on how you can use dehydrated items in all of your handmade Christmas gifts this year. Now, there are a variety of other channels participating in this collaboration, so be sure to search for that hashtag dehydrating for Christmas so that you can watch and enjoy everyone's videos. So today I'm going to show you how you can make soap and how easy it is to make that soap and how that you can add in a variety of ingredients into your soap recipes. Everything from essential oils and oatmeal to herbs and dried food powders to color your soap. So a lot of things that I like to add in are herbs. That's because I enjoy growing herbs, and we use those herbs medicinally on our homestead. A lot of things that I like to add into soaps, there are a ton that you can use. You can use things like yarrow and sage. You can use things that are more common like mint and lavender, although I usually use lavender essential oil, or I use lavender to decorate the soap because by infusing it into your soap, it actually doesn't turn your soap purple. It's more of a brown color, which isn't exactly attractive. But I prefer to use things that I grow, like chamomile, comfrey, and I also use things from my yard, like dandelions, plantain, and violets. So you can grab those from your yard if they're still around, depending on where you live, because it is winter. I think that we still have some plantain, and that is very good for your skin, so I highly recommend adding that into some homemade soap recipes, as long as your yard isn't chemically sprayed, because that is not good for your skin. If you do not have some of these herbs at home, you can always purchase them online. I've had success with mountain rose herbs. I really like them, and most of them are organic. So other things that I love to add into soaps are food, and I like to dry them and put them in my soaps to add a natural colorant. So sure, you can go to a craft store or you can go online and buy some type of natural soap colorant or really any kind of skincare, cosmetic colorant, but they're not always natural. Sometimes they're artificial with odd ingredients and dyes and stuff. And sometimes if it's a natural colorant, sometimes it can be kind of expensive. And if you're only making up a small batch of soap and want to color it, like a green or something like that for Christmas, you don't want to have to buy a ginormous bag of some type of dried clay or food powder if you're only going to need like a teaspoon of it, because what are you going to do with it afterwards? So a lot of times I just use food that I either grew or I can easily access at a grocery store. Some dried foods some foods that you can use to naturally color your soaps are things like spinach, tomatoes, you can use pumpkin powder, turmeric powder, paprika. You can also use fruits like lemon, oranges, and even grapefruit to color your soaps. So, let's see. So, normally when I go to use these types of things in my soap, I say if I'm using like a fruit or a tomato or something, not something that's already a powder like paprika, you can probably just get that at the store. But if I have like a lemon, I go ahead and slice that up, or a tomato, same thing, I slice that up, put it in my dehydrator, dry it, and once it's dried, then I take those pieces and put them into a blender. I usually use my spice grinder because I'm not doing a whole bunch at once, and I like that it's so small, such a small, so I can get it to grind finer. But if you have one of those fancy blenders like a Vitamix or something, or you're doing a large batch, then go ahead and use a bigger type of blender. So once I blend it up, then I have that food powder that I can use to create a variety of different colors in my soaps. So today I'm going to show you how you can infuse tomato powder into your soap to turn it into a lightly speckled, creamy orange color. So all you have to do is, I took tomatoes from my garden this past summer and did this, but if you don't have tomatoes on hand, you can just, as I mentioned, go to the grocery store and use them. They'll work just as well. So you will want to slice those tomatoes up pretty thin, not like paper thin, because as they dry, they will stick to your dehydrator if they're like tissue paper thin, which I have done before, and it has not been pretty to try to get those off or clean those dehydrating trays. So I'd recommend give it a little bit of thickness. Dehydrate them at 135 degrees Fahrenheit, and they usually take about 8 to 12 hours to completely dry. Now, once they're dried, you will take them off. You can kind of cut them up if you want, but I usually just toss them into my spice grinder. You can use any blender that you have. Grind it into a nice fine powder, and then take 1 teaspoon of that powder and toss it into your melting soap. You'll want to then infuse it for 30 minutes, and once it's all done infusing, you'll notice that your soap is a nice creamy orange. It's just beautiful for this time of year during the holidays and fall season as well. So why don't you come along with me and I will show you exactly how you can do the same thing and give it away as a Christmas gift this year. To make this sweet spice soap recipe, you will need 16 ounces of goat's milk soap base, 1 teaspoon of orange essential oil, 1/8 of a teaspoon of cinnamon essential oil, 7 drops of clove essential oil, 1 tablespoon of organic rolled oats, and 1 teaspoon of tomato powder. If you don't have any tomatoes on hand, You can also try 1 to 2 teaspoons of dried orange peel. You can also grab this complete recipe by clicking on the link in the description box. Start by chopping the goat's milk soap base into small 1-inch cubes. In a heat-proof glass bowl, add the soap base and set on top of a saucepan with a few inches of water inside the pan. This is basically creating a double boiler. Turn the heat to medium-low so that the soap can start melting. Once the soap cubes begin to melt, add the tomato powder. Gently stir the powder into the soap. Then loosely cover the bowl with a plate or heat-proof lid. I like to use one of our glass Corelle plates to keep everything nice and steamy and contained inside that bowl. Turn the heat to low and infuse the tomato powder for about 30 minutes to give the soap a nice light orange color, and be sure to stir it occasionally as the soap melts and the tomato powder infuses. While the soap is melting, add the oatmeal to a spice or coffee grinder and blend it into a fine powder. Once the soap has melted and the tomato powder has adequately infused, remove the bowl from heat. Stir in the oatmeal mixture and orange, cinnamon, and clove essential oils. Allow the soap to cool for about 5 to 10 minutes or until the temperature is 130 degrees. This will help to prevent the oatmeal from falling to the bottom of the soap and just sticking on one side. Pour the soap into your favorite silicone mold and let it cool for about 1 to 2 hours. Once the soap has cooled, unmold it and then store it away in a cool, dry place, or wrap it tightly and give it away as a Christmas gift. Well, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and learned a little bit more about how easy it is to make soap at home and use dried ingredients in your homemade soap recipes. Don't forget to search for the hashtag dehydrating for Christmas so that you can discover all the ways that you can use dehydrated items in your Christmas gifts. Alright, well, thanks again. I hope that you all have a great week. See you in the next video.